I've got an update for you guys on the David situation, and we've got some new pictures. We've actually got pictures of what appears to be the garage where the alleged dismemberment happened. And there's also some new updates, some new pieces of information. And honestly, I think David's finished, honestly. If you want to know the full breakdown of the paperwork that came out yesterday, go and check out the last video that I did. I think it's called David is Done. But it's the long video that I did yesterday, and I read the whole paperwork. And in my opinion, I think this is over now. I think this is actually already over. I wouldn't be surprised if his legal team leave him. I wouldn't be surprised if he turns in a guilty plea and fesses up or finds some other way to check out of this situation. But I think the evidence is absolutely overwhelming, and there's no way he's going to beat this. But there's still more information coming out, and it's so bad it's hard to imagine it getting worse, but it can get worse, and it probably will get worse, and it's getting worse every single day. So obviously I read you all the paperwork, and you know that paperwork was broadcasted on a bunch of different platforms, Rolling Stone, TMZ, and you know they couldn't even really scratch the surface of how many serious details came out in the last bit of paperwork. But obviously we now know David did some very stupid stuff. He ordered 2 chainsaws, a body bag, and a shovel, all on Amazon or Postmates, right after the murder. Okay, he Ubered her from her home to his house. He sent a text 30 minutes later saying, "Where are you?" trying to pretend like she never turned up. But it's cap. Okay, there's so much evidence. They found her blood in his garage. They believe he used a chainsaw to cut her up in a blue inflatable pool. They've got plastic fragments from the pool inside the body. It's over with. Okay, it's over with. Now, this is the latest pictures going around. So I'm not going to read you this article. You already know what's in this, or go and watch my last video. But this is now going around. This is the photograph of the garage where David allegedly dismembered Celeste. So here it is. All right. You know, it is actually just so sad to think what horrible things happened in this location. And this is where they found blood. They did find traces of blood here. Make myself really small so you can see absolutely everything. So they found traces of blood. They got chainsaws. That it's over with, okay? But this is where it happened, right? We're seeing this for the first time, and it's you know it's just one of many pieces of evidence that's going to be included in this case if it does go to trial. But I'd be surprised. It says that loser did all of that on Brick. As if we didn't learn, Brick is extremely porous and keeps history. He really is the stupidest man. That's why he thought the plastic inflatable pool was so genius. But people point out very clearly, wouldn't the chainsaw have 1, popped the pool, 2, made blood fly and splatter everywhere? There's really no way that he really thought a plastic pool was going to stop all that. But I'm assuming he never did much thinking and probably just ran with it, as it looked like he had a backup plan to burn her, evidenced by the burn cage that he bought with that chainsaw that he used. Okay? Is so dumb. So I really can't understand how he was that stupid. An inflatable pool, the things that are known to pop easily. He was saying, right, the physics alone make 0 sense. The chain spins at like 50 miles per hour. That means high velocity splatter hitting the walls, the ceiling, and the person holding it. A plastic kiddie pool wouldn't contain any of that airborne mess, and the second the blade caught the plastic bottom, the pool would be shredded anyway. Definitely not a guy who thinks things through. It's so dumb. It is actually so dumb. People say, not to be graphic, but a theoretical question. If he wanted to dismember her, why didn't he use a bone saw? I imagine that would have caused less blood to splatter everywhere. Also, I'd probably throw up if I found a dead person. I can't imagine how effed up you have to be to dismember someone, especially someone you knew with a chainsaw. Makes me nauseous just thinking about it. So is that a drain in the garage? I wonder if he managed to drain the pool there, if so. So not going to lie, it just looks like stuff on the floor. Probably a dark drain blood stain, if that's what you're referring to. A dark dried blood stain. He was saying, is that a drain in the middle? Could be a drain. Could be a drain, and could be a whole bunch of evidence down there. So this is another picture from the outside. What's really interesting is this is one of those properties where you can actually pull right up and drive into the garage. So think about this. He was allegedly sawing her up in this garage. Anybody could have walked right by. Anyone could have just, any member of the public, this is open to the public, you can just walk by. It's insane. It is actually insane. So it says the others lived there too, so I'm thinking they left that. I think would have made sure all of her stuff was taken care of back after he killed her. I also think she probably grabbed her stuff when she was no longer seeing him. This is, I don't know why I didn't imagine it looking like that. I imagined a big white garage with white floors. I kind of imagined it like a GTA Online garage, to be honest. Not as pristine, but definitely better and bigger than that. I agree. I thought it would have been a bigger garage. What I was imagining was nothing like this. People saying, I thought so too. I keep overestimating David. What kind of dumbass would do something like this on Brick? I thought given the price, it would have been one of those epoxy floors. Did he really think he was just going to get away with this? He's so effing deluded. Says he never cared about getting away with the crime. If he did, he would have prepared, but he didn't. He killed her last minute. I'm sure he knew all of the possibilities he would be caught. The first thing would obviously not to be send an Uber to your house for the person you plan to murder. He's definitely dumb, but he didn't care about getting away with the crime. Says this idiot didn't even get rid of the kiddie pool he used under her. They found it in his garage with the chainsaw cuts in it. Life is really unfair, and any idiot off the street can become rich and famous without any brains or talent. People saying, is that a drain or a stain? Drain, most likely. Goes to the sewer system, okay? I don't want to sound grim or insensitive, but I'm wondering, did he lure her right into the garage when he got there and did it there? If so, wouldn't there be more visible staining? The reports say that they found her unique genetic DNA, unique genetic data in the garage, which adds up because brick is extremely porous. Shrug. He is really stupid, I guess. But it's kind of like half-assed, you know? Like, what was he thinking is going to happen when he lured her to off her? Like, all the stuff he ordered later, it doesn't make any sense. It's not kind of, it's half-assed. He had all night in that day to think about his actions. He literally could have just blocked her. Instead, he sent a 1 hour and something Uber, then really chose murder. He must have been hella angry, I guess. Something tell me he has low-key anger issues. Either way, he didn't plan the murder or care to think it through. He just did it because she was an inconvenience to him. Now, I wonder what messages he sent to her before she was lured to the house, okay? Now, there's another thing that's coming out. There's a few new things that I want to show you guys in this video, but that is the main thing. We looked at this video yesterday, and I couldn't really see anything. I couldn't really see who was there. But now people are saying, call me crazy, or is someone in the car holding their nose? I believe they're suggesting this is a face, and this is a hand up to the nose. People are saying it looks like somebody's holding their nose. Could be David, or they said it was David driving. So I have no idea what people are seeing here. All I see is pixels. I think that could be the darker part of the face, and the lighter part being a hand holding the nose. And that would be like, you see how that looks like a thumb going up there? Can you see that? It looks like a thumb and hands. So it looks like that to me. I see it. Honestly, I see it. I actually see it. Yeah, I see it, personally. I personally see it. It does look like someone's holding their nose. It does look like somebody is holding their nose. These sketches are killing me, but that's true. That's how it looks. Probably it smelled probably horrendous, even with the windows down. They really thought that dumbass scented tree was going to do anything. I also wanted to add in the ring vid of the car, he seems to be driving fast. I lived in a similar neighborhood, and it's not normal to be going that fast. The smell was probably so bad he sped up the car. People aren't seeing it. I actually am. I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it personally. I'm actually seeing the hands over the face there. So we've got a new sketch of the court date. I unfortunately missed the last court date, but there was a courtroom sketch. He was in there in his orange jumpsuit. I wonder if he was allowed to have the haircut that he requested yet, because he was looking mad dusty, and his hair was just looking frazzled when I see him in there. I wonder if that got back to him, and that's why he requested the haircut. Who knows? But me and my guy, Young Camel Toe, we were Young Camel. We were just. Yeah, we were mocking his hair when we came out of the courtroom because he looked a mess. Honestly, he looked a mess. Because artists taking liberties with his height. Look how small they made him look. Made him look like a tiny little man. People saying he'll be an orange his whole life. I don't know how the F he thought he was going to get away with this. In my time, I've never seen such a highly publicized case with the criminal being so effing dumb. He really thought no one cared about Celeste, and therefore no one would look. But did he not forget he was already tied to her from the first police phone call, where they proved they were together while she was a minor? He was already on a list to watch for and was always going to be the #1 suspect, whether it was now or years from now. He's literally moronic. If he cared so much about his career, he would have cut her off a long time ago entirely. Instead, he thought he was smarter than everyone else at 20 and 21, and look where that got him. Because at first, I thought he just counted on her remaining a missing person forever. Now we know the police were literally investigating her relationship with him, and that her parents asked him where their daughter was, but he said he didn't know. And then why the F would he just abandon his car illegally, parked with her in it, 3 months decomposing in the car, Uber her straight from her home to his, and he kept the inflatable swimming pool? I'm starting to think he stopped giving a shit. This dude is a narcissistic moron. That's my take. I think it's just narcissism. He thought he was so successful. Everything he touched turned to gold. Billion streams in his closet, making songs on an iPhone that are going gold. I think he just thought he had the Midas touch and he could just solve anything. I think he just thought he was the Wonder Kid. And he wasn't. Okay? Because I laughed at the second one. Artist drew him to scale. He should have asked for a booster seat instead of a nice fit to go with his jail haircut. When your mum makes you give the weight of your order, that is hilarious, okay? So some people are kind of going back over the timeline with the new evidence and saying they called it. It was obvious from the start. That's how a lot of people feel. So So this guy says, I called it like 1 week ago. This guy's dumb as hell. He literally thought changing his Amazon shipping name would hide him and still had it delivered to his own house. Like, that's the level we're dealing with. And this part is actually insane to me. He really thought texting Celeste, where are you? And sending another message an hour later was going to save him. In his head, that was his alibi. Like, yeah, sure, I texted her. She never showed up, see? Be serious. If law enforcement can see that one message, they can see the entire chat. They can recover everything. You really think they're not going to piece it all together? That where are you text isn't doing anything. It doesn't help him. It doesn't make him look innocent. It just looks obvious. At this point, it's not even shocking. It's just, how do you mess up this badly? Even a defense attorney would low-key laugh at that. This is the guy we've been overanalyzing for 7 months. It's unbelievable. If it wasn't so serious, you could actually laugh at how backwards David is. I really had the thought that he knew at some point he'd get caught and that his defense strategy was to claim a mental disability. People saying they think he's going to try and plead insanity. They said there's way too much obvious consciousness of guilt here for that. To plead insanity, you're saying you didn't know at the time that you were doing was wrong because your mental capacity was diminished. He did way too much planning and orchestrating to even make that type of argument. Very, very good point. All right. The cover-up is what's his undoing. Even if they somehow bought his dumbass alibi, why is the alibi texting a little girl? It's like an episode of Gideon's EDP Watch Facts. Imagine being the Uber driver. I feel bad for them. That is really sad. It gets worse. He purchased an incinerator, but then threw her passport on the side of the highway. Threw her passport in a location, by the way. He didn't think to turn his location tracking off on his phone when he was driving to it. Nope. He kept all that switched on, and it resulted in the police knowing exactly when he drove there and back, right down to the precise time, and he did so multiple times. So this underage girl that you ordered an Uber for on your account, which the Uber tracking itself showed, picked her up from her home address and dropped her at your home address. The girl that just as the Uber shows her being dropped off at yours, then suddenly goes quiet for over 20 minutes before you start texting her pretending she hasn't been dropped off at yours. The girl that once she was dropped off at yours, she was never seen or heard from again. Her passport was also mysteriously found in a completely random remote place that's hours away from anywhere, a place that all your location tracking data shows you drove to in the middle of the night, just after she didn't get dropped off at yours by an Uber, that their location tracking data shows they did drop at your home. Oh, and this just happens to be the same girl whose dismembered body was found in the trunk of your car. Yeah, this guy's really the dumbest MF out there. It is so, it's unthinkable. And the fact he tried to contact her only for 2 days after no-showing right after the Uber, I searched for missing vapes longer than that. That's facts. All right? Like, who has a heated argument with someone about being exposed and losing their career and facing jail time, then just doesn't try and talk to them after a few days? Going from that much worry to forgetting about it makes no sense. Everyone acted like he was some mastermind. No, he's just a piece of shit. After seeing everything that came out yesterday, I'm so confused as to why they let this guy out on the streets for so long. He's clearly capable of killing others. If he had, then blood would be on the hands of the police for allowing him to be in public. It's crazy. Okay. At the start, I definitely had doubts someone could be this dumb, especially leaving a body in the car registered to your name right from around your house. But I guess everyone earlier on was 100% right that he was just that effing stupid. Now, I want to get some updates from our guy, Steve Fisher. He gave a few updates to give his opinion on the new evidence that came out, the chainsaw, and the other items that were found at David's house. This guy's been to David's house. He's found things. He found chainsaws at David's house. Let's hear what he said.
You talked about a chainsaw months ago. You talked about finding a chainsaw months ago. Your reaction to this, does this confirm everything that you couldn't actually reveal at the time? Talk to us about it.
Yeah, it confirms some of it. You know, we didn't know everything. Let's be honest about that. But, you know, we did find a chainsaw. We found a burn cage, and we knew that they were ordered in the name of this Victoria Mendez. And we disclosed that it was, you know, in a fake name. And but we didn't know if that was a real person or not. However, all these things, and there was more things that were delivered to the house in that name, and we couldn't get past the chainsaw or the burn cage. Just there was no reasonable use to have it there. And now we find out that it does appear like, you know, they played a role.
Joseph, I don't know the better way to, I really don't know the best way to ask this, but can you explain what dismembering?
So what we're going to hear is basically forensic analyst Joseph Scott Morgan is actually going to break down the process of a dismemberment. And, you know, trigger warning, this is going to be, you know, a grisly description of what likely went down in that garage.
Bring somebody with a chainsaw actually entails cutting off someone's fingers, because we are now have to believe, according to prosecutors, if these allegations are true, that a 20-year-old did this.
Yeah, I can break it down for you very succinctly. The fact that the RPMs that a chainsaw generates, which are thousands, it moves at a very high clip. And with that, chainsaw has teeth on it. It's not teeth like a regular handsaw. I've had a couple of cases involving chainsaws over the course of my career, and I'll just put it to you this way: the deposition of tissue and blood, because with a regular handsaw, you would just you might get a little tissue, you're gonna have a lot of blood. This is going to sling actual tissue everywhere. And so the idea that this could be cleaned up completely, there's no way under God's green heaven that you're going to be able to clean up every bit of tissue deposition that's there. You might think you've gotten it, but once the cops get in there and they have enough time, they're going to collect. And that goes back to this idea that they've identified DNA. And they're saying that it is her DNA.
And coupled with the pieces from the pool, right? The pool mat that allegedly he used to wrap her up?
Well, yeah, and they're talking about a kiddie pool that was there that facilitated this. And if you read that TMZ bit that they had, they're talking about he used this to guard the flow of blood. So, yeah, and if it is blue, they've got plastic embedded into these insults onto her body. And so it would be a matter of the criminalists, which also has indicated that they're examining these pieces. They've been able to tie back these fragments, which is very powerful stuff.
Steve.
So that's crazy. What he basically said is, look, when you cut up a body with a chainsaw, it's not just blood, it's literally tissue, skin, meat, physical matter from the body. It's going everywhere. It's going all over. It's going on the roof, it's going on the floor, it's going on you, it's going on the walls, it's going everywhere. Impossible to clean up. No chance, zero chance. You're not clean. It's not happening. Okay. Impossible to clean up. So, as you're now going to hear, Steve Fisher's going to give some more interesting information, basically discussing the disturbing evidence that was found on David's phone. And a big question we've all been waiting for: did somebody else actually be involved or knew about the murder?
So much was made about this alleged relationship. You know, the brief says that Celeste was 11 years old when they first met, 13 years old when the sexual relationship began, that there was text messages between the two talking about Plan B, pregnancy, naked photos of Celeste, of her engaging in sexual activity. Is this in line with what you found?
Yeah, it is. And, you know, it's so sad. I mean, this girl, she'd been a teenager for 1 year, you know, and it's so hard to get past, like, how he could do how anybody could do this to anybody and ruin their life. But, you know, I want to say something real quick, because I was going to call Joseph off the show too before. You know, we're really confused about this, what happened to this tissue and this blood matter from the chainsaw, because they make it sound like there was trace amounts found, and they didn't really turn the house into a crime scene. They didn't hold it long when they did the search warrant. So it's really confusing. It seems like a chainsaw would have absolutely created a horrific scene.
It's interesting, right? Because that home's back on the market. It's up for rent. They didn't keep it. They didn't keep the property as a crime scene. The police searched it for a day. They got everything they needed. They got out there. You can rent. I could rent it now, right? It's a bit too expensive for me. I ain't gonna lie. But you could rent it. You could get up in that crib now.
But they don't speak about that. Well, so I still feel like there's a piece we're not getting.
There's talking about a piece we're not getting to this. We've always wondered if the allegations are true. Did he have help? The brief claimed that David was the last to drive the Tesla in late July before Celeste's body was found. It didn't confirm, as far as I read, that doesn't mean someone else may have moved it. You tell me if I'm looking at it the wrong way. And then also they made the allegation that David lied to people about the smell in the trunk. So it seemed when I was reading this, it kind of moved away from the idea of him working with anyone else.
I mean, I guess it depends on the way you read it. I still go back to the DA's statement that they're not taking off the table. Other people can still be charged in this thing. I do think there was help. As far as the Tesla goes, the surveillance we have, I've always said that they probably have more surveillance than us. Surveillance we have, I do not believe that that's David is a light-skinned, long-haired person driving the car. I don't know what they have after that time, if David went to the car or something.
But or if they knew what was in the car. Or if they knew what was in the car. Because, look, that's another part. They talk about the body being in the car for quite some time. I still think it's a little confusing about where the remains were when they were transported to the car. I mean, do you have a better idea?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think he stored them in the car. We heard from neighbors that the car started moving around the neighborhood starting in May. But you listen, it was nearby, and it was. Listen, I'm in search and rescue. I've dealt with a lot of deceased bodies. There's a very distinct smell that, especially if it was in the garage for a while. And that's where the other Tesla was being parked. It was going in and out of it. It was not being parked on the street, and they had like an arcade set up down there. I don't know how these people didn't know.
Look.
He's saying he doesn't know how the other people in the crib didn't know. Now, Steve Fisher, he's all up in everybody's business, okay? He's all up in David's business. He actually posted photos of David's mail, all right? And what do you know? What's the name on there? What's the... Victoria Mendez, all right? I'm supposed to be able to zoom in. There you go. Victoria Mendez, the fake name. He took pictures. Who knows what was in these parcels? This could have been a hacksaw. This could have been more evidence. This could have been more stuff that David was planning to use to chop up the body or to try and get away with this. SF Investigates posted the pictures of David's mail with the Victoria Mendez name in it. It says, is this his defense? Victoria Mendez did it. Forgot to change the name on the orders after April. As much as these people were online, they never bothered to learn much about digital trails and forensics. It's crazy, right? I told y'all this is strategic. He said so himself with his anime. He's a detective of his own crime that he committed. If he finds a way out of this one, I wouldn't be surprised. I would be surprised. I ain't gonna know. It's people saying, I want to know what items were in that package. Maybe the kiddie pool, but it was said by people that was delivered on May the 5th. Obviously, these aren't a pool, but this is the name that he was using, okay? And people have been digging in to try and find out, is there a real Victoria Mendez? He had another Celeste. So this is a message that's apparently going around. It says, recently we spoke with Celeste's ex-boyfriend's mother, who provided us some additional information about their experience and what she had been told. Although there wasn't much new info she could give, she did mention that David was photographed in the parking lot in Lake Elsinore. They mentioned that there was a Victoria or Veronica that was present with David that day, and they claimed it was Celeste's best friend. So it says, yeah, David also bought blank a dirt bike and gave him money also. He wasn't pictured. There was also a girl with red hair that claimed to be Celeste's best friend. I want to say her name's Veronica or Victoria. And it says he allegedly made the purchases under the fake name Victoria Mendez. So that could have been a real person. People are saying, LMAO, is David going to be is this going to be David Zanny the Nanny? I don't know that. I don't know that reference, unfortunately. It says orders all of his chopping supplies off Amazon and thinks he'll get away with it because he used a fake name to have it delivered to his residence and paid with his card and then just leaves the body in the car. What a dumbass. All right, don't tell me the redhead girl inside the car was Celeste and one of her fake ID names were Victoria Mendez. Says that would make some sense. We're all wondering what names he gave her. Could be the fake ID. Could be. It's very interesting. Okay. He says everything's laid out in front of us, and we're still making conspiracy theories that Victoria is a real person. No, he didn't have help. Right? They're saying he didn't have help. So Redditors have kind of been digging into this. They've been talking about the motive. A lot of this is stuff that we've already seen. But, you know, now we know for sure he ended her life because she caught him cheating and threatened to expose him. He had the illegal photos in his phone. They're saying he is a monster. Justice for Celeste. Okay. And it's saying after all this time he didn't delete them. Just saying regardless if he deleted them and turned off iCloud backups, they're still recoverable. If you have iCloud, Apple makes backups regardless of if you have it enabled or not. If you don't believe me, buy it and download Dr. Phone Wondershare and log in with iCloud and you'll find backups you never even knew you had. The feds have way better photos than civilian apps. You're cooked. It says they're using the other woman as if Celeste was a woman. She was not. She was a young teen girl. I wish they would talk about the case with more care for who she was. Called it heavy cache of illegal videos. Wait till they get access to the other included accounts and devices. The team was complicit and someone helped him travel the country with her. I hope that they get that. I hope they get that chick that was acting tough from the early days of the Discord because she thought she was safe too, but has went radio silent since first. She's a PDF too. All right, he wouldn't be allowed to delete anything on his phone. His attorney definitely wouldn't have advised him of this. They already had everything on his phone: Dropbox, storage, USB hard drives, cloud, Discord servers, etc. It would have done no good to delete. They had warrants on his phone and everything on it. It's almost impossible to actually delete anything with technology out there. He may have his phone with a password or encrypted in a way and refuse to give up information to get into it. D, even if he would refuse to give up the password, there are companies out there that can get into them in countries like Israel that have helped law enforcement before. E, how do you think he would have actually deleted these pics when we see it on the news all the time where creeps try and delete illegal stuff off their phone and PCs, yet investigators always find it? There's a strong chance that investigators were watching everything that he did on any device that he had in real time during an active investigation. Okay, so this video is now resurfacing. This video that we looked at a lot, this is a very unsettling video from August where David posted at a motel in Santa Rosa, New Mexico with a curly-haired girl in a black tube top and black leggings. In the video, he sticks out his left ring finger, then his pinky, the song playing in the back. So these are the fingers that he cut off Celeste. The song playing in back claims he had made 5 minutes ago, goes, bleeding out, my blood stain your clothes, would you let me die on you? I don't know if someone already mentioned this here, but I think he was telling on himself. The girl also painfully and closely resembles Celeste to the point some people in the comments thought it was her. She deserves so much better. Justice for her. That's crazy. If he's actually saying bleeding out, my blood stained on your clothes, would you let me die on you? And he said he just recorded that song 5 minutes ago. He's obviously talking about the situation with Celeste and he's holding up the fingers he cut off. This guy is absolutely out of his mind. Absolutely out of his mind. Where's the video? That's crazy. These are the fingers Celeste lost. That's crazy. His whole life's been a confession since then. He knows what he did and can never talk to anyone about it. So his music was a creative way of apologizing to himself and immortalizing her in his life. Says the problem for him is that this is after he murdered her. So if the prosecution wants to use it to tell a story to the jury, it will be powerful. They can use his own voice, then repeat the lyrics interspersed with how he actually killed Celeste. I'm grateful that he snitched on himself. Justice for Celeste. I believe it is confirmed that they would be using the lyrics against him. Okay. Crazy. Those are the fingers. That is insane. That is insane. To think he actually removed her ring and pinky finger and then he posed with those pictures. That is fucking insane. Ah, man. Every single day there's just something new, man. So look, there's actually 2 more topics that I want to talk about. I'm going to do them in separate videos because I'm going to do a video just focused on David and Celeste's families. And I'm going to do another video on some of the interviews that David did after the murder went down. I just feel like it'd be good to just segment these things into topics because it gets a bit confusing. But I hope you found that useful. It is just unbelievable every day. I mean, I can't believe that. I can't believe that. And I've seen this video a load of times, man. I cannot believe it. So I'll keep you guys posted. I've got some more information for you today. And I believe there's a court date tomorrow. I need to just look into whether that's still happening because I heard it might have got pushed back. But anyway, if there's any new information there, I'll be sure to let you guys know. And I'll be back with a new video shortly, man. So justice for Celeste, man. Rest in peace. So sad.